Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a solo Grandmaster run Scarlet Keep with Warlock. For my subclass, I'll be using the Strand Warlock. Here are the mods and fragments I'll be using this video. For my kinetic, I'll be using the Wish Ender. Next, I'll be using a arc scout rifle which shoot to loot, and for the heavy will be Taipan. This week, I'll be using Wish Ender. Wish Ender, the pink version. There we go, I fixed it. So for the subclass, I'll be using the Warlock Strand. We're gonna Weavewalk our way to skip the Arc Knights and completely ignore them because, let's be honest, we are all tired and fed up of dealing with the introduction of dealing Arc Knights, Acolytes. It's a pain. So I definitely wanted to just Weavewalk my way to the next area. This one you can take your time to kill or to take down the Acolytes. I had a time limit, by the way. I had to get this run under an hour before work, so that's why I was kind of rushing through a bit, not really being extremely passive. During the final boss fight I did become a little bit passive with my run because the Unstoppable Champions was extremely not happy when I was using my Strand Warlock. So there will be a barrier champion, the Twirling Ballerina champion, since we're not really close. Let's see, is he gonna do the twirl? Well, he did a little bit. But make sure you use your Wish Ender, or you can use Obelisk, anything you want if you hate Wish Ender, but the pink version, you know. We got this Acolyte trying to go for Trials mode from PvP, even though I'm not a PvP main, but it kind of looked like it a little bit. Then there'll be another Acolyte that's trying to be a little bit of PvP mode, and then it starts shooting while running away from the left side. Then we got a Wizard trying to be a Bungee at the moment, and it's just floating away from the right side. So I did decide to pop the Healing Rift with the cute, adorable little... I forgot what their name, but I'm just going to call them minions. The cute little minions, when you do pop a well, which they contract and do a lot of damage. I do want to let you guys know that the arc, especially for this season, I mean last season or old seasons ago, the arc damage wasn't that bad, but for this season it looks like the wizard's arc is extremely dangerous. So be aware, and definitely just put double arc of the resilience if you can. And if you want to, it's your choice if you want to go for Void Resilience or Solar. But there is going to be a bigger champion that'll be twirling around. I am using a Linear Fusion Rifle, and the reason why I say highly recommend to use a Linear Fusion, or basically Taipan, is because, well, it's very easy to get. Everyone pretty much has a 90+%. And you can get Triple Tap, Frenzy, you can get all those goodie perks for the Linear Fusion. And it's Void Search for this week because I didn't really notice, but there is a rotation weekly with the Strand. Well, depending of the Nightfall, it could be Strand or Arc with Solar and Void. It is weird because when I was doing a test run before reset, it was Strand Surge and Solar Surge, and for this week it is Strand and Void Surge for Scarlet Keep. I did decide to use my super because the wizards are extremely painful. You can also use a Solar Scout if they are giving you trouble. I did decide to use a Arc Scout because it had shoot to loot, And I just want to take advantage of picking up ammo. That's basically the main reason why I used it. It wasn't because to look fancy or because the gun or the weapon looks extremely pretty and I just want to be fashionable. No, that's not the reason. Maybe on the other side, yes, but no, that is not the reason. Because it has shoot to loot and we need it for unstoppable champions. And that's basically why I'm using this weapon. But I could use a Solar Scout, and a big maybe I would have used it if it was Solar Surge for this week. Just to deal with the wizards. If you don't really care, or if you're not having issues with the Arc Captains or the Arc Knights, I usually just call them Arc Knights, but other players will call them Arc Captains. Depending of your playstyle and depending how you feel. So I'm not going to force players to use a arc weapon, which is pretty weak, but it has shoot to loot, an explosive payload. I mean, it's pretty good. Decent. Good enough, and it's handy, especially if you're on Warlock or Titan. And if you're not on Hunter Invis, you can't turn invisible to pick up heavy, but you can use shoot to loot. I did try to use their Weavewalk to pick up heavy. They nerfed it, which I didn't know, by the way. Because when I was using this subclass a month ago, I was completely new. And the pretty funny moment is I actually didn't know how to turn off the Weavewalk or when you use it, right? I can't turn it off, which was my bad. So you basically just have to press circle again, if I'm mistaken. If I am wrong, I apologize. I do not have my controller, my PS5 controller next to me, because sometimes I get confused with the Xbox. Oh, right. During this part, there is a wizard up ahead. I do forgot to mention is when you use your Weavewalk ability, you also gain of your little minions, and it's really fun to just spam it, especially dealing with the enemies. It's so fun, especially on Warlock. I mean, if you haven't used it, highly recommend to try it out. It's so fun. And you can also get the tangles depending what fragments you have. Depending on the fragments you have, you can definitely do that. During this part, I was just impatient. You don't have to do this method. I was letting go of the void charge, or I like to call it the void orb or orb. But the problem is it has a time limit. It can disappear if you don't pick it up. For me, I just don't have the patience too much, so I just don't want to go back to pick it up, and I just consistently pick up the orb, wish ender away, or pick up the orb, linear, and then pick up the orb. That's basically what I did over here. And then there was still a lot of ads from the left, right, and don't forget the curse thralls. So I was just double checking before I go and just make my way. Also, there is a time limit. You can see it at the bottom left. I only had around 30 seconds as well, which is such a drag, you know. I'm trying to remember back in the day if it was just the orb time limit. Did it came with a timer? I don't remember. This is the bridge where everyone's best friends has to deal with Unstoppable Champion. Unstoppable Champion will spawn middle. I did try to use my super at Unstoppable Champion, but my super was not cooperating with me. It decided to clear the ads instead of the Unstoppable Champion. The knights can one-shot you, sometimes depending of your recovery, so be aware of that. Curse thralls as well can sometimes sneak up behind you. So just be extremely careful, and then you could just spam your linear fusion rifle. Just spam away. I mean, look at that. 40k and still going more damage. Then you can make your way dealing with the acolytes. So I was just double checking there was some ammo. So once I figure out there's nothing left for me to pick up, then we gotta deal with the acolytes. So I like to call them the fire dudes. They love to hide, by the way, but make sure you're not too close to them, because when you do take them down because of the modifier, they'll have like this fire around them which could damage you. But the good news, there's no solar surge, so they're not going to heavily do a lot of damage to your guardian. I would say probably decent, but not as bad as Arc. I think Arc will probably be the most dangerous, since it is Arc threat for this Nightfall. I decided to push and then just Weavewalk. I want to get the threatenings or the minions to do all the dirty work for my Warlock. And gosh, I really don't like these wizards. They just love to float away. See, when you break the shield, they try to hide behind cover. And if you don't take them down enough, then they start to float all the way back, and then makes it much harder to take them down. I really hate that. They always have done this ever since Scarlet Keep was released. Just make sure you take down the wizards. They are extremely dangerous. I really hate them. They're just dancing left, right, floating from the right. And then once we take them down, and there's one more left, she still has her shield. And yeah, this is really ridiculous. The wizard wasn't cooperating, so I had to bait the wizard to use his arc blast or mini Kai blast. You know, just like Dragon Ball Z when they're just spamming their Kai non-stop, even though it's not going to do any damage to the boss or to Cell or to Boo, for example. That's basically what the wizard is doing to us. You must take down the barrier champion as quickly as possible. Use your super, pray for the super to focus on the barrier champion. If it doesn't, pull back. Try to use your wish ender, dodge the Kai blast, and then just break the shield with wish ender, and then just use linear. I was double checking if there is any acolytes from the left and right. Reason why is because when I do try to take down the Shirker, right? I don't want them to throw fire at me when I'm at this spot. That's why I want to double check before I pursue and deal with the gold Shirker. For some reason, the Shirker halfway was behaving. Usually, she doesn't do that, or he, or it doesn't do that. But for some reason in this footage, it didn't start to attack until later on. Now I'm going to Weavewalk my way. Gosh, it's just so fun to Weavewalk and then just ignore the wizards. I mean, look at this. This is completely broken. Look how fun this is. See, if you guys never been on Hunter and you want to have a field of being a hunter, even though you don't like hunters or you've never been one, well, highly recommend this just to try to Weavewalk Strand Warlock subclass. You could also take down the barrier champion quickly, because the barrier champion will walk all the way from the right side from the back. There will be acolytes from up ahead, but then there'll be a mini boss with 3 of them once you spawn or capture the 3 plates. See, the problem for this section is the arc from the wizards, which they could do a lot of damage. With the arc threat modifier for this week or for this Nightfall, you could pull back, and you can also gather the minions for your Warlock as well, and you could deal with the wizard. Another option you can do is you can use your super and then Weavewalk back to the safe area. For me, I was having trouble with the wizard hiding and moving around. Normally, I usually just use my super to deal with the wizard for this part, but because I didn't have my super and I don't have the patience, I had to go for plan B, which I don't really like because the wizard really loves to hide like this, you can see for example. And of course the minions did help me out because now they're following the wizard and doing massive damage. I mean, wow, look at that. Wow. The minions are really doing a lot of damage. Just be aware that there will be a lot of these acolytes, and then you will have to deal with the thralls when you do capture the plate. Then this is when you will have to deal with more champions. Unless you don't care about platinum, which I know a lot of you don't care. You could just go on Hunter and then just go invisible, capture the 3 plates, and then just be on your way. That's just a alternate option you can do, or another option you can do if you don't care about champions, which I don't blame you, to be honest. I mean, they added so many champions for this Nightfall. I know the strike is very old, but the one thing I don't like about this strike is they added way too many champions. There will be a champion that will spawn. See, the problem over here during this part is to deal with the thralls. I do want to take down the bigger champion, use my super, but the problem is these thralls will be messing up your DPS, and you know how console is, the flinch, the console aim assist, auto aiming. It's a pain. I just cannot tell you how difficult it is to deal with a barrier champion. And then you have these thralls harassing you. Like this, for example. Aim assist. Aim assist. Aim assist. Hopefully nothing bad will happen when I do deal with this bigger champion. And then we got more thralls. They just keep going. See what I mean? It's really difficult to multitask when you have auto aiming. I wish I could turn it off, but I can't. I don't think there's an option on PS5. I mean, if there is, let me know, but I did look. There's nothing at all. Now to deal with another wizard. You can also use your melee if you do have some extra melee. That way you can do some consistent damage at the wizard, and then she or it can move around. It'll be easier to take down. I decided to actually just go to the opposite direction to deal with the final mini wizard boss. Well, the reason is I don't really have my super, and I might as well just save it for the champions. You'll notice that the wizard likes to hide. It's mostly similar, or I would say it's similar towards this Grey's Nightfall, where the wizard likes to hide and move around when the shield is broken. Basically the same thing with this wizard. Once we deal with the wizard from the opposite direction, we can go capture this plate, but just be aware that acolytes will spawn from the left and the right door. You can see the door from the left and the door from the right. Not only that, there will be another bigger champion that will appear, and just be aware of the twirling dances or the ballerina twirls that it will do while you're doing DPS with a linear, with a pink version Wish Ender, or if you don't like the pink version, you can use the boring version, you know, for guys, I guess. But joke aside, yes, just spam Wish Ender. Yep. Once you capture the plate, now it'll be much easier to capture the last one because you'll have more open room to deal with the last champion. That's another problem. If you do have 3 people on your fire team, each of them can deal with the champion, but you will really have to trust your fire team to do that because sometimes one of your teammates could get killed from the barrier champion, and then you will have to go rescue him, and sometimes it could be a pain, which I do recommend just go together on each plate. Or if you want to speed run, which I know a lot of you like to speed run, then each of your fire team can go to each plate. So now we're gonna deal with the barrier champion. Isn't this just fun? Look at all those minions looking for more champions, but we already took down most of them. Now I'm gonna be doing a mini time skip to the other room. Alright, once we bunny hop with our Warlock, you know, bunny hop. Yes, that one. We bunny hop our way to the mountains. We actually bunny hop our way and made it where we can deal with the barrier champion. This is one thing you can do for the Warlock and of course Titan. You can just run really fast or bunny hop or Titan jump. And if you're really lucky, you can make the barrier champion to not jump from the other platform. As for Hunter, oof. Yeah, honestly, I did try to jump and run as fast as I can on Hunter. It doesn't really work. I mean, I tried it maybe with a sword, but why use a sword when you can use a linear fusion and do so much damage, you know? So we're going to be dealing with the acolytes or the thralls. There will be a barrier champion. I apologize for that. This acolyte scared me. I heard a noise that I didn't take down all the thralls, and then one was just next to me or behind me from the left side. I couldn't really see him, but I heard him. During this part can be a bit dangerous where we have to deal with a barrier champion. I do recommend try your best to deal with this barrier champion before it walks downstairs. This barrier champion has a certain limit, which is why I recommend just use a linear fusion rifle over a rocket. Or you could use a machine gun, but I would recommend just use a linear. I mean, it's void surge, it's fun, you can do a lot of damage. Plus, basically everyone, well, I would say 90% players have this linear. It's not a raid linear weapon, so that's a plus. Just be aware of the acolytes. They can two-shot you, or if both of them shoot you at the same time, then it's a possibility that they can one-shot you. I try my best to do consistent damage to the barrier champion. I did not want him to leave, so I tried to make him move. Try to do as much damage as I can. Because the problem with this type of barrier champion is he'll move, and then when you try to deal with the Shirker, right, then he's going to move back to the hill, bridge, and then use arc, and then you're pretty much going back to orbit. During this part, I decided to use my super. And now, the best part is I'm just going to Weavewalk my way. Isn't this just so fun? I mean, wow. Warlocks just have a power, or the power for the Strand subclass. And let's not forget the Titan. Let's not forget the new fragment as well. They also had the power as well. And for the Hunter, Well, I'll be honest with you, I have not really messed around with the Strand Hunter this season. Only the Titan Warlock. Well, the reason was I was just having too much fun with the Titan Warlock, but maybe I will try it out next time. Maybe. If not, well, probably next season, maybe. So let me introduce you the slowest elevator in the entire Destiny franchise. We're just going so slow. So slow. I really hate this, so I really wish I can time skip this, but I can't because there's a certain way of hiding and to not get hit by the acolytes. I'm actually quite shocked. I remember back in the day it was all snipers. I could be mistaken. But yeah, slowest elevator you have ever seen in your life. I really hate this elevator. It just gives so much anxiety. Especially if it's your first time doing your solo. This elevator will give you a lot of anxiety. It will make you nervous. And it has done it to me years ago, many years ago, so I cannot remember at the moment how long is that. The reason why I Weavewalk is I wanted to gather the minions, 5 of them, and they're basically going to do all the dirty work. They're going to do damage from far distance when I'm trying to do some damage with the Wish Ender. And also, I want to make sure I do enough damage so I can just switch to my linear once it's staggered. And then just make my way to the other side. And yes, proven there that barrier champions are known to be called twirling champions or ballerina twirl barrier champions. Once we take down the barrier champion from the left side, we're going to go to the right side and bait the barrier champion to come out because there is a wizard from the middle and we don't want to deal with her yet. Just be aware that if there are acolytes, they can throw fire at you. So be super aware, and if it happens, you have to pull back and then just go for the Wish Ender. So 2 acolytes seem to be behind the wall. Okay, 3. I think I saw 3. And just make sure you use your Wish Ender, and if you see heavy, use the scout rifle to get the heavy brick back. Now to deal with the wizard. Oh boy, this is gonna be fun. I really don't like these wizards because of the arc threat. They're doing so much damage. It's pretty ridiculous. You know, good thing I have my healing thrift. You know, can't do that on a hunter, right? Unless I use Warm Husk, but let's be honest, nobody likes Warm Husk. Okay, I don't like Warm Husk. I know other players like Warm Husk, but I hate it. I get the worst luck on Warm Husk. It never gives me health. It gives me itty bitty. It's like, here you go, Blitz, itty bitty health. Not worth it. So next, we're gonna go to the slowest elevator ever. Extremely slow. I mean, look at this. It's just so slow. Oh my goodness. I wish I could speed it up. And you know what? I'm gonna do that right now. Speeding up. Isn't it just fun? Just speeding up the elevator. I just wish this elevator could do this. My gosh. You know, I'm just using chaos control right now. Do 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 do. Once we go to the second elevator, use your super to deal with the barrier champion or the unstoppable champion. My bad. The reason why I Weavewalk is to get more threatenings or minions. I don't want the unstoppable champion to get aggressive. Because it's a possibility that I will have to go Merry-Go Death with the Unstoppable Champion. And you guys saw how it was on Festering Core. If anyone remembers Festering Core, I was going Merry-Go Death. No one remembers. I mean, it was pretty horrific. Okay, what about Strange Terrain? Remember I did the Merry-Go Death with the Unstoppable Champion going around in circles? Okay, no one remembers, but if for the people who do remember, yes, I don't want to deal with that for Scarlet Keep, alright? That is Plan C and it's extremely dangerous. I really don't want to do that. There will be 2 wizards, 2 mini bosses from left and right, so you must be super careful and you must be extremely cautious when dealing with the wizards. Modifier is Arc Threat, 50% more damage. Even with 2 Arc Resilience, you can still be heavily damaged and you just have to be super careful. You can use your melee at the wizards, so it will do some damage. You can see here, starting to do some damage. It just makes it easier to deal with the wizards so they can move around and not just stay in one place behind a wall, right? Now we're going to go to the opposite direction. I'm trying to go there, but for some reason I just went to the poison little bubble that the wizard left off. Now there will be another acolyte. If not, now to deal with the wizard. Wow, isn't this gonna be fun? See what I mean? It likes to hide. Really, extremely hate this wizard. It just loves to hide. My goodness. It just gets better and better, right? Alright, wizard. We already know how powerful you are with your cheap archive blasts. We just want to get this done. And now back to the slowest elevator I have ever seen in any game franchise I have ever seen, right? I think this is probably the slowest elevator ever. And I'm very serious. We're gonna break the crystal and then we're just gonna hug this wall from the right side. Because there's no doors open at the opposite wall behind me, then this is gonna be the perfect place to go in the elevator. I mean, look at this. It's so slow. Oh my goodness. Gosh. I just really love this elevator. I wish it was faster. I really was hoping they could make this elevator go up much faster, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen. It's just giving me anxiety. Yep, this is really fun. Just love going to the slowest elevator ever. So slow. I'm gonna be doing a time skip. I'm gonna wait for my super to deal with the wizards. Now, the reason why I waited for my super is these guys are extremely unpredictable. I really hate them. I don't know if anyone has seen my old videos, but when I do keep both of them alive, one of them can sneak up behind you. No joke or over exaggerating. That is why I use my super. We're gonna go to the mini cheese spot. I wouldn't say it's a cheese spot. I would say it's a safe zone. Because you can still get killed at this spot if you're not careful. And since we're on Warlock, we don't have that sweet double jump that Titans, well, hunters have. We don't want to float away to death. So make sure you hug the wall a bit. And don't pull back too much. You can see what I mean of this spot is not the safest, but it is good enough. You can also hug to the corner if you do need to recover. Just be aware that the arc captains can sometimes try to one-shot you. You can also push them, but I haven't tried out with the Weavewalk if it is a possibility of me pushing them. I think you can, but I have not had time to try it out. And I was on a time limit when I was doing this run because I had to work, and yeah, I wasn't really thinking about those things of me pushing them to the edge. I mean, you could try it out and let me know if it works, if you can weave walk them to the death pit. I mean, wouldn't that be hilarious? Also, another thing is to cancel it, just press your ability again, well, dodge again, or circle. So that's one thing you have to be super careful. Just try not to pull back too much because you might fall down to this spot. Now there is acolytes right here and arc knights. You can see that the arc captain tried to one-shot me, well, two-shot me. And with just one attack, it made my guardian go to red. So just be super careful when dealing with the arc captains or the arc knights. They like to do twirly ballerina twirls, but if you do debuff them with the artifact mod, they won't do that. They'll just walk away slowly. I decided to use my super, and maybe it was a bad idea to use it, not thinking about it and seeing it. I should have saved my super for the next phase, but nobody's perfect. So if you do have a super, just focus using your linear. I should have just waited for my super for this part. You can see over here, this wizard. I should have used my super over here. But like I said, nobody's perfect. And because things wasn't going as planned, I had to spam my linear. And yes, auto aim assist. Auto aim assist. Thank you PS5 for giving me console aim assist, where PC doesn't have this problem. Thank you so much. I wasted probably 5 ammo of my life, 5 heavy ammo of my life, because I was desperately trying to take down the wizard. And you have to make sure you take at least one of them down, because they can get extremely aggressive and one of them can float to your cheese spot or your safe spot. I wouldn't say it's a cheese spot so much, but the old cheese spot where you go behind the door gates is gone. They patched it, which is not a big deal for me, to be honest. I mean, people have complained of me using cheeses. Because that cheese is patched doesn't mean I can't do the solo Nightfall. I just go for the old method, and the method I'm doing is extremely old. Everyone has been using it, especially when GMs were extremely difficult back in the day, when just using Ariana's Vow, if anyone remembers that. Everyone was using that mini safe spot, alright? And now the wizard. Isn't this gonna be fun? So I'm gonna do as much damage as I can and then go back to the safe spot. Just be super careful and the boss won't hurt you. So I'm gonna do a time skip here. Make sure you take down the wizard and then go back to the safe spot. Once we take down the wizard, you can pull back to the cheese spot or the mini safe spot, or you can weave walk your way and then just press the circle button or the ability button again, and then you could just do precision shots with the boss with Wish Ender, but the pink version. I would highly recommend to save your heavy. If your heavy is low, like mine, use Wish Ender, but the pink version. Okay, joke aside, just use Wish Ender because you want to save your heavy dealing with unstoppable champions. Now, something bad happened during the unstoppable champion phase, which I'm sure a lot of you have seen the footage, and it was quite a lot of anxiety there. So what happened is my super did not do any DPS at the champion that I was trying to get. And because of that, things wasn't working out. And it was horrible. I mean, it was at the second phase, by the way. So when we do enough damage to the wizard up ahead to the final boss, then what's gonna happen is we're gonna deal with 2 unstoppable champions. They're gonna be the last champions, which is why I do recommend to go to the safe spot. The problem is that there's curse thralls, and then you're gonna be juggling left and right, dealing with unstoppable champions. Well, both of them. For me, it's just not worth my time, so that's why I prefer to go to the safe spot when dealing with the unstoppable champions. I'm just giving a heads up of what's gonna happen for the next phase. Now, if the wizard is not cooperating with you, you have to go to the opposite direction, which is pretty much what I did. Later on, I did figure out I had to go over here. So now the boss will go for the other side, and I moved. This boss is extremely stubborn. My goodness. Like, I'm trying my best not to use my heavy so much. Later on, right, I didn't really look, but I had enough heavy, but I didn't really look so much until it was a little bit late. So if you do have heavy, just use it. So now this is gonna be probably the most interesting part. We're gonna be pulling back to the safe zone, and we're gonna deal with 2 unstoppable champions. So remember when I said my super didn't work out? Yeah, I kind of messed up my super, and I should have waited for the unstoppable champion to get a little bit closer. So my bad for that. Nobody's perfect, and because of that mistake, I made the 2 unstoppable champions aggressive, and pretty much they are gonna try their best to send me back to orbit. I already know this is gonna be a tough fight. So what you can do over here is, if the unstoppable champions are too close to you, you can pull back and then crouch, and then the unstoppable champions will pull back. Or if you're having anxiety that they're just way too close to you and you completely forgot to go to the corner and crouch, you can Weavewalk, and then you could just crouch in the back and then Weavewalk again. Well, take out the Weavewalk ability. So once I figured that out, then we could do damage to unstoppable. This is plan B. That's why I prefer to use my super to do as much damage to one unstoppable, so the second one can be easier. Just be super careful with the void blast, and then you just spam your linear and then make your way. Now the reason why I didn't use my finisher is there are curse thralls still walking around like a psychopath, and I didn't want to use my finisher, because if I use my finisher, they're going to one-shot me. Now, if I was on Hunter using Invis finisher, or if I was on a Void subclass and I was using a finisher with Invis, then maybe I would have used my finisher on my Warlock or my Titan. But it was just too risky because these cursed thralls can sneak up on you. And I just don't think it was worth it. Because what if I use my finisher and then there's 2 cursed thralls and then I get one shot? That's it. And I'd start all over again. I waste 40 minutes of my life. That is just things you have to be aware when dealing with 2 unstoppable champions during this phase. Then the third phase can be really easy, where you can do as much damage as you can when it's half health and then use your super. But because I didn't have my super for this part, I actually had to go for the board way, where you had to clear all the Arc Knights or Arc Captains and then deal with the boss. So what you do over here is you just use your Wish Ender and then just spam it. Take down the Acolytes and then just save your linear dealing with the boss. Once you deal with the Knights, then you can make your way dealing with the Wizard. So now I'm going to be using all of my linear as much as I can. And then we'll be taking on the wizard. And then we'll get platinum. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.